We just gave him $75,000. I don't know what he chose to spend it on. A 2019 Nissan Maxima wouldn't have required all that money.
Where'd you pay $75,000 to?
Various bills, lawyers' bills. I owed my parents. I had my own credit card debt.
I mean, he's filed for the spousal support asking for the state of Michigan money going to these two older gentlemen with Down syndrome to be paid to him as spousal support.
We have Mr. Powers present with his attorney, Ms. Erdley. We have Mr. Swears present for Ms. Powers, and Ms. Powers is connecting.
I spoke with her a few minutes ago, Your Honor. We didn't have the technical issues, so I'm not sure what's going on now, but we are willing to proceed without Ms. Powers being able to connect if the court wishes to move forward.
We'll see if we can continue to get her on. This is your motion on behalf of her to enforce the judgment of divorce. In essence, the two things that I can really deal with right now are the payments for an automobile, a vehicle. He was supposed to pay, didn't pay for several months, the insurance or the car payments itself. It's clear he had to. Your request is $2628.13. Is that still the request?
Yes, Your Honor. And I would also briefly note I've had some communication with counsel. I believe the issue with the photo albums is essentially resolved. We'll work out the logistics, but I don't believe that requires any action by the court. As well as the transfer of the Nissan Maxima. We've coordinated, there's some signature paperwork. My client signed what we believe is all the necessary paperwork at Michigan First Credit Union about 4 o'clock yesterday. So I don't believe that issue will require any additional work by the court. So that really just brings us down to the issue of the reimbursement on the automobile payments and the life insurance policies, and then obviously our request for fees.
So it's just reimbursement for the insurance and the car payments, or is it still the amount of $2628?
It is the same amount, Your Honor. And then we have not reached a resolution. I reviewed Mr. Powers' response regarding the 2 life insurance policies, but I won't get ahead of myself.
Yeah, that's probably going to end up something unpleasant, like having a hearing, quite frankly. But as far as the others, counsel, you admit that he owes $2628, don't you?
Well, Your Honor, my understanding is that that's what the judgment said, and my client avers that Ms. Powers told him she would pay those, and she did. Do
you have anything in writing or anything like that?
No, he does not. He does not.
I mean, maybe we can wait and get Ms. Powers on and ask her if she did that, but I don't think she'd file the motion if she felt like she was supposed to make payments, and there's nothing other than what's in there that says he owes that for the car.
Right, and the car is now refinanced in his name. That was all taken care of as of yesterday.
Yeah, but she made the payments when he was supposed to, and it's really clear in the judgment he's supposed to be responsible.
Yeah, and I think part of it was he didn't fully appreciate or understand it until recently. It was between counsel. Anything more you want to add?
No.
Okay. And so the only issue other than that, as we see it, would be the life insurance policies related to the.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, he owes $2628.13, and he'll pay it within 7 days.
26.
Mr. Swears, that'll make your client whole?
Yes, Your Honor. The one thing I would additionally note, having reviewed counsel's response on behalf of Mr. Powers with regards to the life insurance policies, I went back and checked the original financial disclosures and spoke with my client. These 2 policies were purchased in April of 1999 by my client's father to cover funeral expenses for her 2 brothers. He is getting very old, and we're frankly not expecting him to outlive her brothers. It was only transferred to the parties in April of 2021. At which point the cash out value of these parties was about $9,000. So really the situation here, we believe it was part of the global settlement. Even if there was some marital portion of the payment, it is incidental. And what's really unfortunate in this case is this isn't the first time we've had this issue. Back in August of 2023, Mr. Powers filed a request for spousal support, which on its first page included DHS's payments for the 2 older brothers.
This is going way beyond where I'm I'm looking.
Understood.
My reading of the judgment said that if it's a overlooked part, bottom of page 4, into the top of page 5, if either party has failed either intentionally or unintentionally to disclose any of his or her assets and debts, the issue of property division may be reopened on the motion of either party to determine and resolve the distribution and any previous undisclosed assets. All I'm looking at is, it seems like it was not dealt with in the judgment. Is that?
And you're,
Well,
yeah, and
here comes Ms. Powers, maybe.
Your Honor, can I respond on
Hold
the,
on a minute and see if Ms.
Okay.
Powers is finally here. Ms. Powers, can you hear me? You're on mute, so I can't hear you, but I saw you say yes, I think.
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, I've already gone through the enforcement of the money that's owed to you, 26, 28, 13. Did you agree that you'd make those 3 payments? Those payments on the cars and stuff?
No,
All right. I've ordered him 7 days. He has to pay that amount.
and just so you know, Your Honor, my client indicates to me he cannot make that payment within 7 days.
He got $75,000 recently.
Which has all been used.
Which has all been used to pay various bills. And there are bills, marital bills that have not been paid by Ms. Powers that she still owes. We didn't file a motion in response to give all those, but we may have to file a motion as to some of those things. But I do want to address the life insurance policy. It sounds like you're not.
Hold on before I get there.
Okay,
How long has he got to have to pay? This is money that she shouldn't have had to pay. And I'm going to not give you forever to pay it. That's money that she is owed. If you want to file a motion that she owes somewhere, I don't care. But you owe that money. She didn't agree. She said to make those 3 months worth of payments. You think she did. Your counsel has told you correctly in that, I mean, unless you had something signed by her, you owed the money.
there is a 401k transfer that needs to take place where he'll get another large sum of money that's related to the settlement. And Ms. Powers needs to send information so the quadro and so forth can be done and the 401k can be transferred. So that's another issue in terms of money that my client is supposed to get in the settlement that she needs to sign off on so he can make payments like this one.
Counsel, Mr. Swears.
Your Honor, I did just receive, my client has forwarded me over information from Attorney Jenny Johnson, who's been preparing the quadro, so we'll provide that shortly. But again, we just gave him $75,000. I don't know what he chose to spend it on. A 2019 Nissan Maxima wouldn't have required all that money.
Well, that's what I said. She got $75,000. Where'd you pay $75,000 to?
Various bills, lawyers' bills. I owed my parents. I had my own credit card debt. It does not go fast, or it goes quickly. I had medical bills to pay. Sorry, Your Honor?
Get money from your credit card then to pay it. I'm not going to give you very long. You owe it. That's straightforward.
I'll be glad to pay it as soon as I get the 401k.
You'll be glad to give it. You'll be glad to pay it when I tell you got to pay it. All right, I'll give you to the end of the month. I'll give you till the 1st of October to pay it in full. And Mr. Swears, you're working with Jenny Johnson to get the 401k or whatever the quadros are that are being drafted. Is that my understanding?
I'm reviewing what additional information is needed, Your Honor. They're way better at quadros than I am, so I'm just going to assume that if I give them the last couple bits they need, it'll be done.
You'll work with Ms. Eardley to make sure that she has all the information proper so that she knows what's going on also.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. All right, we've exhausted that. We don't have to deal with the photo album. Now we're dealing with the life insurance policies. Because of what I just read you, I'm interpreting this as a motion to reopen about those 2 insurance policies.
The only thing I would note, Your Honor, these were disclosed by both parties. They were listed on the verified financial information forms. They were discussed at mediation. Attorney Rick Rohn represented Mr. Powers, who is very capable Mike Dantema mediated, very capable. I was there. I'm not in their league, but I don't believe this is a situation where they were undisclosed. This is a situation where, admittedly, the three of us should have included them listed there. It was the understanding of the parties that this was a dealt issue. And again, what we have is less than 2 years ago, our client's father, who had been paying these for 22 years, transferred the parties because he assumed he would not outlive his sons. And for Mr. Powers to now be sitting here and again he's filed for the spousal support, asking for the state of Michigan money going to these two older gentlemen with Down syndrome to be paid to him as spousal support. It's not how we do this. And these two funeral policies are not intended for him. They're to benefit our client and her brothers, to basically just help her bury her brothers. I don't believe it's an issue of not disclosed. I believe, yes, it should have been more clearly drafted, and I will certainly share my share of the blame in that. But it's not an undisclosed asset. It was part of the global settlement. And this is not the first time that Mr. Powers has come back asking for money intended for the benefit of these two other gentlemen to be taken from them and given to him. So we just asked, I don't believe it's an undisclosed asset, Your Honor. And again, the value that increased during the marriage while this was assigned to the parties is incidental at most.
May I respond, Judge, because I haven't had my chance yet on the life insurance?
I'll give you your chance. Go ahead.
Thank you. I agree with you about the judgment. If it's not listed there as something that has to be reopened and assessed by the court, obviously my client and his now ex-wife were beneficiaries on the policies. So does a marital asset. And just my client wants to make sure that the court doesn't assume he's some kind of monster trying to profit off of two Down syndrome people. He was their backup guardian and guardian for 7 years. He took care of them and was with them 24 hours a day during the pandemic, 4 months before they separated. And payments for the policy came out of their joint account. We've got ACH withdrawal records going back in 2023, and these were all payments made
After we separate.
after the separation by my client. He's not asking for that money back.
What are the type of payments that you're talking about?
The monthly policy payments.
Monthly policy
I'm
payments.
asking, is it $10? Is it $300
I'm sorry.
a month or what?
It is approximately $80.
A month?
Yes, between the two.
All right. Well, I'm not going to be able to figure this out on a Friday morning. I got matters that seem like I shouldn't have to deal with, but I'm going to have to set up some kind of a quick evidentiary hearing to deal with this. My mother is saying that her father paid for most of these, and had it was in his name, and he transferred it to you guys later on. So I just lost somebody. I lost her. But quite frankly, I'm going to have an evidentiary hearing and figure out if it's a joint marital asset. Oh, there you are up there in the corner. Joint marital asset, and if it is, what portion goes to who? We're not going to go outside of that. I'm not going to worry about whether he tried to get money from Social Security or whatever. We're just going to bring in the documents on this. I'm going to reserve attorney's fees on it because I'm concerned. I'm concerned that the motion was brought here and clearly he owes the $26.28. I'm not buying the idea that he thought Mrs. Powers was going to make those payments. I don't buy that. He may be responsible for that attorney's fees, but I don't want to deal with that until we get through everything. All right. Because in the end, I may have to have a hearing on that because the Court of Appeals tells me I have to.
Yes, I understand.
She says that in fact, she doesn't disagree with the amount that you are charging, but she disagrees with the amount of hours. So I'd have to have a hearing on that. And then, of course, if you win on that, he could have to pay for the whole hearing too on that. Because if I find that you have submitted a reasonable amount and we have a hearing and I find that that's reasonable, he'll be responsible for prep and everything for the evidentiary hearing for the attorney's fees.
You understand?
So many things that people should be trying to figure out, but what I'm going to do is set up, I think a like 1 hour evidentiary hearing on this. I think it's mostly going to be documentation that people are going to have to submit. I will try and meet with, I'd like to set up a settlement conference as soon as parties can get their documents together to meet with me and see if we can't figure this out without a hearing, but if we can't, we can't. I can't make a ruling on it here today. So the order will be 26/28/13 by October 1st. You've said you've figured out the photo album, and we'll have a evidentiary hearing regarding the life insurance policies. And I hope to meet with everybody ahead of time so that we can, I mean, if you can get me the documentation, it seems like we could sit down, and if all the documentation is there, there probably doesn't need to be much testimony, but we'll have to see. Good luck, everybody. Anything else, Mr. Swears?
No, Your Honor, just as always, I'll coordinate with Ms. Erdlin if we can exchange. I just got some additional documentation. We'll let the court know as soon as possible if we're able to work this out without needing the evidentiary hearing, but fully agree should be short if anything. So thank you, Your Honor.
I sure hope so. Ms. Erdley, anything?
Nothing further. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Swears, I guess you'll draft the order, especially as it relates to the amount owed and stuff.
Yes, Your
Okay.
Honor.
All right,
Thank you.
Good luck. Thank you. Have a good weekend, everyone.